we've got, what we're going to pretend today is we're going to pretend that that's Lake Malawi and that's Lake Tanganyika. So in the very shallow water, the very first habitat that we meet when we go in is what's called the wave-washed upper rocky habitat. So therefore, let's say there's rocks there and there's a whole heap of waves. So fish have to be able to handle that amount of water flow and that amount of sort of washing. Then underneath that, so this is the, let's call that the wave, so it's the wave-washed upper rocky habitat. Then underneath that is your Sutherland Shire. So this is the place where all the fish want to live. It's the sediment-free rocky habitat. And it's the prime real estate for the fish. In this environment there is the most food. There is the most shelter. It is your prime land. That's where the fish really want to live. So therefore the fish that get to live in this environment are either have evolved specifically for it, but more likely are aggressive enough too. So these fish are probably you find are your most aggressive. So let's call it that's the sediment-free rocky habitat. Underneath that is called the sediment-rich rocky habitat. So there's a layer of sediment over all the rocks in this environment. It's not as desirable, it's a bit more second rate as far as the fish are concerned. It's a bit harder to gather food. There's less food available. Then underneath that you've got what's called the intermediate habitat. So let's call that the sediment-rich rocky habitat. Then underneath that you've got your intermediate habitat, which means there's some rocks and there's sand. So that's your intermediate. And then under that you've got the sandy area. And it is not necessarily in that order. So wave-washed, sediment-free rocky habitat, sediment-rich rocky habitat, intermediate habitat, and sand area, or deep water. Now, there are various parts of the lake which do go, for example, from the Livingston Mountains straight in, which would be very much this. There's other areas of the lake which actually form shallow bays. So let's say that represents a shallow bay. And that would be an area which is much where you walk in and it's shallower water and it's not a mountain going straight into the thing. Because these lakes are basically inland seas. They are like 700 kilometres long, 80 kilometres wide, several kilometres deep. So, I mean, I've spent time in Lake Malawi, and I'm telling you, you can go into the middle of Lake Malawi in a boat and not see land.